Yesterday, President Obama signed the Fraud Enforcement Recovery Act. He signed it into law. Now, I was invited to the White House for that signing ceremony. I would have been on the stage with the president, but I was unable to attend because of my Finance Committee commitments on health care reform. I was one of the authors of this very bipartisan bill with colleagues, Senator Leahy, chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee. The law will help protect the billions of taxpayer dollars used to prop up banks and financial institutions from fraud and abuse by beefing up the government's ability to investigate and to prosecute bad actors. It also amends federal criminal law to ensure that those who committed mortgage and corporate frauds that contributed to our current economic downturn are not insulated from prosecution by loopholes that now exist. With reports of mortgage and corporate fraud at the record's high, this law will help make sure that our federal agencies have the resources to protect consumers as well as taxpayers. I didn't support the majority of the bailout spending, but it's a fact. So now that taxpayers are on the hook for a tab, we need to do whatever we can to provide proper safeguards to protect the taxpayers' money. This law also makes improvements in the False Claims Act, a law President Lincoln signed back in 1865. Now, over the years, I've been an outspoken advocate of the False Claims Act. So, in 1986, to correct some shortcomings, I worked with Congressman Howard Berman of California to pass meaningful updates to make sure that this law can recover taxpayers' dollars lost to fraud and abuse. Our 1986 amendments to Lincoln's law empowered whistleblowers to file suit against those who defraud the federal government and then keep a portion of the settlement as an incentive. Since then, the False Claims Act has helped recover $22 billion. Let me repeat that. Recover $22 billion in taxpayers' money in what would have otherwise been lost to fraud. However, there have been some recent court cases undermining the provisions enacted in 1986. The Fraud Enforcement Recovery Act makes the most significant changes to the False Claims Act in the 23 years since I got it passed. It will restore the teeth to the False Claims Act and make sure that the original intent of Congress is restored. It will ensure that the False Claims Act remains the very potent weapon it is to prevent and deter fraud against the government for years to come. With a massive increase in government spending over the last several months, the taxpayer shouldered a very heavy burden and the stakes are very high. So the Fraud Enforcement and Recovery Act will help prove that the government can be a good steward of the taxpayers' dollars by helping protect those taxpayer dollars, especially from fraud and abuse.